Hey everybody, this is TJR.
This is Superfan.
We're just hanging out with our little guy here. And this video, I want to discuss what I feel is the best advice that I can give when it comes to shopping for used vinyl. And I began to notice somewhat early on into my vinyl journey that some of the best audio experiences that I got were from purchasing used vinyl. I'm not saying that new vinyl is bad. I own lots of new vinyl. And in fact, a lot of the half speed masterings I own sound fantastic. A lot of times, reissues of older records can be an affordable alternative to the scarcity and high cost of buying a well known album as a vintage piece of vinyl. So there are definitely advantages to it. But I have found that some of the best experiences, the like, oh wow experiences, have been buying used vinyl. And so I do want to talk about this a little bit first, just to kind of make this clear. As an example here, this is a record that I picked up very, early on. I bought it used at an antique store. Boss Skaggs, um, Silk Degrees. This was a popular album in the 70s, but I wasn't that into it really. I wasn't like a big Boss Skaggs fan. I mean, I knew the hit singles off this Lido Shuffle and Lowdown, but I just picked it up because it was cheap. And I was still kind of early in the hobby, kind of experimenting, and it was cheap, so I picked it up. This album, I'm not going to bother to pull it out and show it because I'm not even sure if it'll pick up on the camera, but it showed a lot of physical wear, lots of smudging. You could definitely see that it had been handled a lot. The people had handled it with their hands. Um, I put this on the turntable. I always do a carbon fiber brush cleaning on my records before I play them. And the first time I always give it a really good brush cleaning because I'm going to digitize it. But after that, I just do a standard brush, just a quick little brush cleaning with it, running, and then play it. Um, and this, quite frankly, just from a pure audio perspective, even though this wasn't like any kind of a favorite album of mine or anybody that I was really that into, but just audio was unbelievable sounding. The audio quality was just like blew my mind. And I
Yeah,
thought, oh
I
my gosh,
remember hearing it that first time. It
yeah, it
sounded
came.
really
I thought
good.
this came out in the 70s. This is a vintage copy. The audio was so unreal. And it really told me that records are not as fragile as we think they are, or as we're sometimes told we are. It's really weird. It's kind of a weird thing because they can be fragile, but they can also not be real fragile, in my opinion. Um, yeah, I mean, actually like listening to this album just because the audio is so nice. Even if I'm not even that much into the song itself, it's just the audio sounds so damn good that it's just like pleasing to the ears. It's almost like my ears are getting a massage, if you can.
There you go.
As that's the best way I can put it. That the audio was so great that it made up for maybe some songs that I just weren't as into or wouldn't have been as into if I just heard them on the radio or played them on streaming. So this is why I started getting into used vinyl, was because of this experience that I had with this record. But of course, the thing is, you know, you're taking a chance buying used vinyl, and there are things that people will tell you to do that you should do. That you should, of course, obviously, inspect the record. See how does it look, both the cover and the actual vinyl. Look at it all, and I agree with that. I'm going to show you something I picked up recently. This is Elton John's Tumbleweed Connection. This is a UK pressing, 1970. So this is an original pressing. It's on the original record label. And I picked it up, and it was used. I thought that overall the cover was in really nice shape. It had a few little. It showed a little bit of wear on the spine, but very strong still. The
It's got
booklet,
some more wear on the top and
yeah, a little wear on
bottom.
top, but I thought overall really good shape. You know, you can't expect things to be perfect, of course.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's what, 40, 50 years old.
yeah, yeah. The booklet inside, still stapled inside, secure.
Good
Page is
shape.
in nice shape. No discoloration. I mean, it already has this sepia tone, was part of its aesthetic, but nice shape, really solid. I was, and I noticed that even the original UK record was thicker vinyl than what we may have used in the United States, a little bit heavier. But the record was clean, really, really clean. And generally speaking, if I look at a record and it looks good, if I look at the actual LP and it looks fairly clean, I can pretty much trust that it's going to sound good. It's pretty much going to sound good. And a good example here was this one here that I picked up a while back. I bought this at an estate sale, yard sale, whatever you want to call it. Rolling Stones Beggar's Banquet. The cover definitely showed some wear, but the LP was immaculate. And I took it home and it sounded amazing, better than I could have expected. In fact, a week prior to picking this up, I had purchased already a brand new pressing of this album from Record Store Day. And we compared it. And this blew out the repressing, the Record Store Day pressing that I picked up about a week or so earlier. We both were really surprised when we heard that this just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And
these are personal preferences. You may not agree.
Yeah, you may not agree, but you have to listen for yourself. But that's what we both thought when we listened to it. And so, this exceeded my expectations. Now, let me go back here to this Elton John album here. It was very clean and it sounded good. I'm not saying it sounded bad. But on the quieter songs, there's a couple ballads on this, you could definitely hear the snap and crackle. I mean, sure, maybe I expect with used records that I might hear a little snap and crackle as I put the needle down. Usually it goes away if the record's in good shape. Maybe you hear a little snap and crackle between the tracks, possibly. But by and large, if the record looks good, it's more than likely going to play good. This one, however, in spite of how clean it was, the quieter tracks, you heard snap and crackle throughout those quieter tracks. Disappointing, but it's something that happens, and it's something that I accept as being part of the bargain. And I think that's the one piece of advice that I want to really impress upon you, is that I go in knowing that they can't all be winners. There's that great line from that movie, Bad Santa. They can't all be winners, kid. And I know that that's going to happen sometimes, even when the record looks great, because you really can't know oftentimes when you're buying these things. Maybe a record store will have a player and you can listen to it. Maybe they won't. Oftentimes you're at a yard sale or an estate sale or something like that. That's where we are. You can't really listen. You just kind of have to use your best judgment and accept the fact that it may not sound 100%. I have levels of tolerance for snap and crackle when it comes to these records. If it's just there at the beginning, if it's in between the tracks, I'm okay. Maybe I hear a little bit. Maybe I hear a little snap in the song somewhere. If it's not a lot, it's fine. But on this one here, I remember the quiet songs, the snap and crackle was
a little too prevalent.
A little more than I wanted, yeah. It wasn't constant, but it would keep coming in and out, and it was just like, it kind of hurt the experience. The rest of the album sounded fine because they weren't ballads. The volume pretty much covers that up.
Yeah. And you are planning on getting a Humming Guru?
Yeah, I'm going to get a Humming Guru. I am thinking about getting one. In fact, we'll talk about that in a moment. I'm thinking about getting one. Maybe that'll improve some of these, like this one here, where it's like, it's not as good as I was hoping. But before I do that, I wanted to just talk about the other end of the spectrum with this. Because here's the thing. You say, well, if you look at it, it looks good. It should play good, shouldn't it, Bill? Most of the time, yes, but not always. But there's another side to that coin here. This is a copy of Music by Carole King. I picked this up at a yard sale. I paid 25 cents for it. The physical package was not in the best of shape. honestly. Let's see here. As far as, actually, well, I guess this one wasn't too bad. But the record was in really crummy shape. Lots of wear, nicks, lots of handling. You can see it just being handled a lot. The record was very flimsy feeling, and it was even warped. And I couldn't really see that until I put it on the player and watched it turn around. I thought, oh, this thing's warped. This record, when I played it, sounded perfect. In some cases, it even sounded better than a lot of new records I bought. Because sometimes I bought new records where, unfortunately,
they just don't sound good.
They don't know. They still get some snap. You still hear some snap and crackle. It's brand new, and you're hearing snap and crackle, unfortunately. But this one sounded great, like a new record. Clean, like it was clean. But it sure wasn't, looking at it, it showed all kinds of wear on it. And it was warped too. It still played fine.
But you did give that one a good cleaning before you
Well, of course,
it.
Any record, before I play it the first time, because I'm going to digitize it, I'm going to put it on the turntable. I'm going to put it at 78 speed. I'm going to take my carbon fiber brush, let it run across it a couple revolutions, wipe it off, turn off stop the machine, take a look at the record, see if I see any more dust on it. If I see any other dust, I'm just gonna wipe it off manually. Then I'm gonna, go ahead and start play it for the first time and digitize that while I do it, because that's what I do with my records. I digitize them. Normally speaking, anytime I play a record, I always put it on the turntable, take out my carbon fiber brush, put it at 78, let the carbon fiber brush run across it for a couple revolutions, move the carbon fiber brush off the record, and then start to play. It's much, after that, my cleaning process is just very quick. It just takes seconds to do. But I do it every time I play any record side, no matter what, new, used, whatever. But the first time, yes, I give it a good brush cleaning the first time, especially if it's used. I give it a real good cleaning.
It is kind of precious to watch you do that, I have to say.
I'm glad you get so much enjoyment out of it.
I gotta get enjoyment somewhere.
I guess. Oh, there's some jokes I could make on that, but I'm gonna keep it off camera. Anyways, though, but yeah, it sounded unbelievably good. I paid $1 for it, and the thing is if you're paying less than $1 for a record,
give it a shot.
Yeah, give it a shot. What have you got to lose? I mean, 25 cents, 50 cents, yeah, those kind of
$1.
Yeah, $1. You've got so little to lose if you have even just a faint interest in it. I knew a couple songs off this album, but I really didn't know it. I love it. It's a great sounding album. And this record just sounded great. Now, does that mean that every single bad condition, 50 cent to $1 record I purchase is going to sound great? No, it's not. A lot of them are going to sound like they look, but we've had plenty of experiences where the crappy ones that we buy at the yard sales, for like $0.25, 50 cents, whatever, we take them home. That sounds great. Sounds really good. That's after, of course, I give it that cleaning. And we're just like, great, this is a perfectly enjoyable record. So that is the other side of that. And that will happen. So the thing that I'm trying to get at with this is, visually inspect it. Dust, of course, is easy to take care of. You can brush that off. Smudges, I've noticed, don't really seem to affect a record too much. And there's a difference between nicks, light nicks across the record, and scratches. And I've seen plenty with nicks that still play just fine. Then again, I've seen some with none, without nicks, that play like they have them.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. I wish I could say there was an exact science to it. So you do have to still visually inspect the record, look at the price, and ask yourself, is it worth the risk? And if you think it is, go for it. And that's the thing. I accept going in that there's risk. Because, nobody who might be selling records at a yard sale or an estate sale or even at a store has time to listen to everything. They don't. Most good record stores...
They're not like you.
Most good record stores, of course, know how to visually inspect a record and say, okay, this looks good. This looks like it should be good. Otherwise, it goes in their cheap bin, if they even do that. There are many record stores nowadays. If you've got crummy looking stuff, they're not even going to look. They're just going to say, no, take it home. They're not even going to have like a $1 bin or a $3 bin because it's just not worth it. Because oftentimes real serious collectors are just not even going to bother. But like I said, been plenty of times where something cheap that looked bad played well. But there have been those few instances where something that looked really great, I don't want to say it played badly, but it didn't play up to expectation. And that's the risk I take. And I walk in knowing that that's part of the game. That's part of the treasure hunt, so to speak.
Yeah.
That is record collecting. That is part of the fun of it, the whole treasure hunt aspect of it.
And speaking of treasure hunting,
yes. Let's talk about the Humming Guru because I do want to get one. A while, not long ago, while we went to a sale, a private sale, and this guy had a whole bunch of records. I made a video about this record here in case you want to see it in more detail. But this guy had a whole, like, just ton of records. Most of them in really crappy shape. And this one was no exception here. But the area, I won't get into too much, but it was this tight, cramped little area that I had to look at them. And it was too cramped to be able to pull them out and take a look. So what I did is if something even looked remotely of interest, like this one here, the Beach Boys Surfing Safari, I handed it over to Superfan. She took it out and looked at it. If it looked like if she just saw a really wretched looking record, she just said no and handed it back, and I just put it back in the pile. Because this guy didn't even bother to stack them up right. He had them in a pile lying flat. That's how badly these things were stored. And this one here, though, I remember I looked at it. I noticed there was writing on the cover, but I couldn't read it because it was the area was kind of dark. The lighting wasn't good, so she took it out in better lighting when she would look at these, and she noticed that this one was signed.
I wasn't sure it was real.
Yeah, but it looked like it could be real, by Brian Wilson, Mike Love, Chad Marks, who was the guitarist in the band at the time, and what looks like it might have been Dennis Wilson, but it was written, Denny. And later but we picked this up super cheap at one of those sales.
Less than $1.
Less than $1. I'm thinking $1 or less probably. I don't forget now. Because we bought it with a stack of other stuff too. And the record was in horrible shape. In fact, I wouldn't even bother to try to play this one. But what was neat was the signatures. And we compared it online to the real signatures, and we're pretty certain these are the real thing based on what we've seen. And when we showed it on the video, there's a video we did where we actually show the actual authentic signatures and what was here. And we're pretty sure this is the real deal here. I mean, if you were going to fake this,
why would you do it that way?
Why would you put Chad Marks, who was a guitarist in the band at the time, but was only there during their early days, and you'd fake Dennis Wilson? You wouldn't write "Thank you, Denny." We still can't confirm that one, but the Brian Wilson, the Mike Love, those look authentic to us based on what we've seen. But you can watch that video if you want. I'll leave a link. But anyways, though, we're planning on selling this one. We're taking offers if anyone's interested. I'm going to put the money towards a Humming Guru. And my thought with a Humming Guru is that these records here that are kind of on the fence where, okay, I took a chance. It wasn't terrible, but it also wasn't quite as good as I would have hoped, that maybe having a Humming Guru will take those records and improve the audio quality, remove enough of the snap and crackle to where, okay, now it's an acceptable purchase, for the money that was paid. And as far as an audio experience, it's like, okay, this is good now. I can live with this. And I'm hoping that'll, like I said, that'll be a nice addition. And so, so I thought I'd bring this one up here. And again, if you see writing on a record, take a close look.
Yeah, double check it. I almost didn't.
Yeah, you almost just said, oh, writing. Well, I think what you did is you looked at the record first, because that's always what's most important. At the end of the day, when it's this old, when it's used stuff like this, the condition of the cover is not as important as the condition of the record. Although oftentimes the condition of a of what's outside tells you how well they treated what was inside.
Yeah.
Oftentimes that's a good clue. But even then, we have found records. We found one, I remember, where the cover was water damaged and it was just in really horrible shape, but the record inside was fine. So you just don't know sometimes. But
well,
again,
and honestly, I think maybe that water damage worked to clean it a little bit.
I don't know. But it all comes down to, like I said, what's the price? And like I said, that one was another one that I think that was like a quarter.
Yeah, that was.
So it's like, it's a quarter. Who cares? Take it home. Give it a carbon fiber brush clean and just try it out. See how it is. You never know. You might be like, wow, okay, perfect, great, wonderful. You don't know. So it's all about your expectation, managing the expectation. I think that's the real advice, because no matter how good I think you get at looking at a record and saying, okay, this looks like a, because it's always a gamble. This looks like a reasonable gamble. You never know. You could be disappointed. And so I just wanted to put that out there. That's my best advice, is know what your tolerance levels are for imperfections in a used record. And I have my tolerance levels like anyone else. And manage your expectations to know that
you're taking a risk.
You're taking a risk. Just accept it. It's part of the experience. It's part of the game. It's part of the hunt. And
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, there you go. Suck it up. If you get one that doesn't pan out, suck it up, Buttercup. Otherwise you probably shouldn't be doing it. Just buy new records. If they come out sounding bad, you can take them back, because most places let you return stuff like that. So that's all. That's the real thing to me, is the number one piece of advice I could give, is manage your expectations. And that's something only you can decide as far as what your tolerance levels are. So just do that. Anyways, though, let me know your thoughts on this. Leave a comment. Thank you, patron supporters, for all that you do. Patron supporters receive exclusive weekly videos not available here on this channel. But mostly, thank you to you for watching. Thank you for clicking like on this video if you haven't done so already.
And if you want to help us with the Humming Guru,
yes,
send us a super chat.
We don't do super chats here, but we have super thanks.
Super thanks.
We have super thanks. Yes, you can leave a super thanks.
Help me with my words, please.
Okay. You can leave a super thanks if you'd like to help us with the Humming Guru, or you can make us an offer on that Beach Boys album. And we're taking offers on that. And watch that other video first, just to check out the signatures and see what you think, because we do show close-ups of that. And anyways, everybody, thanks so much for watching. It means a lot. And we'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.